If you knew you only had days to live, how would you spend your time? Who would you share with? What would you say? This week we spent some time reflecting on the last public teaching of Jesus. Among the many people gathered in Jerusalem for the festive season are some Greeks. They come to Philip with a request. We would like to see Jesus. Philip went to tell Andrew. Andrew and Philip in turn told Jesus. Some Greeks would like to see you. Jesus replied, "My time has come." Time for what? Jesus is talking about his death. And then Jesus shares a parable. "Truly I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds." If you examine a single small grain of wheat, there's nothing particularly impressive about it. But if a farmer plants it in the ground, an average grain of wheat might produce a head containing 50 such grains. And if they all fall to the ground and die and produce 50 each, and they fall into the ground and die and produce 50 each, you can do the maths. One grain can be so productive when it falls to the ground and dies. We know that Jesus is talking about himself and his own death, but this is not just about himself. He continues, "Anyone who loves his life will lose it, whilst anyone who hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant will be. My Father will honour the one who serves me." When Jesus compares hating your life to loving your life, he's using a common Jewish teaching technique, encouraging us to do some realistic evaluation. Where am I at? What do I value the most? You know, there's one thing I know, that when people come to see me, the one thing that stops them seeing Jesus is me. How is Jesus feeling as he talked about his own death? "My soul is troubled," he shares. "What shall I say? Should I say, 'Father, save me from this hour'? No, it was for this very reason I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name." And then some standing there thought they heard thunder, others the voice of an angel, but it was God speaking. "I have glorified my name, and I will do it again." This voice was for your benefit, says Jesus, not mine. I wonder, did John include it for our benefit? Jesus goes on, "Now is the time for judgment on this world. The prince of the world will be driven out, and I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself." What is Jesus doing here? It seems that he's preparing people for his own death, preparing them for the first Easter. In the same way, this season of Lent prepares us for the reality of Easter, preparing us to stand face to face with the cross, to stare into the reality of death, preparing us to understand the reality that unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it's just a grain of wheat, reminding us that Jesus calls us to follow him all the way to the cross. Here are some questions to ponder. Sit with them. Talk about them amongst yourselves. Discuss them in your small groups. If, like the Greeks coming to Philip, someone came to you and said they wanted to see Jesus, what would you say to them? Where might you take them? Who might you take them to? Are there things in your life that might stand in the way of them seeing Jesus? Jesus had to give up everything to glorify his Father. What might we have to give up to follow him? What might the words of Jesus be saying to you? Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Is there something you need to do? Someone you need to share with?